So now what you've done is taken anywhere up to maybe 50% of those contact magnet customers and taken their journey from this through to something more like this. You've got them more engaged with your site by interacting with it. And you've done this by strategically structuring the site in a way similar to what retailers do with their shops. You've got them travelling down the path you want them to by clarifying their uncertainties and structuring the website in a way that gives you more access to their unconscious mind to prime them just the way you want to. So far we've looked at structure. Now let's have a look at the psychology of how to actually inject the right feelings into the customer's mind during that path towards the contact page. Now, in looking at the psychology of priming over the next few lessons, it's important to understand how to anticipate feelings and how to create the right feelings. So before I go on, I really want you to have a think about what specific feeling would you like to inject into the customer's mind during that path? And most specifically, what feeling would you like the customer to have about you when they're comparing you to the competition? Now, another one of the most common mistakes that a lot of websites make is that they design content aimed at persuading the user to use the type of service that they provide. Let me explain what I mean. If you're a roof restoration company, you don't need to convince people to get their roof restored. If you're a chiropractor, you don't need to persuade people to get their spine manipulated. Mr. Puzzles doesn't need to convince parents that a clown is a great thing to have at a party. Now, they might come to your site first, go ahead with you, and not even check out the competition at all. Maybe. But realistically, about 90% of people are going to either have a look at the competition's pages before they reach yours, or have a look at yours and look at some other competitors after, or maybe both. So, if you have a roof restoration company, how are you going to restore their roofs better than another company? If you're a chiropractor, how are you going to manipulate their spine better than another chiro? And Mr. Puzzles, how are you going to do a better job than another clown or other party entertainer? The aim, therefore, is to create a comparative point with you as the benchmark, so that even if they check out the other competitors' pages, they're now looking at those pages, assessing how they feel about them by comparison with you. You want to create the feeling that if they were to go with your competitors, they'd be kind of like selling themselves short. The trick to smart branding is not just about creating the right feeling, but by positioning yourself in the market so that the customer instinctually understands where that feeling about you sits with comparison to the feelings that they get about the other competitors. Are you the David Jones, the Target, or the Golo? Are you the Rolls Royce, the Toyota, or the Daihatsu? And if you want to be the Rolls Royce and charge Rolls Royce prices, you've got to make sure the customer understands why your price tag is significantly different to the Toyota or the Daihatsu. And psychologically, it's all about the feeling. People don't buy a Rolls Royce because it's a better quality car. They buy it because of the way that that better quality makes them feel. But remember that feelings are a comparative thing. You might feel fine about driving the Toyota until you take the Rolls Royce for a test drive. Now how does the Toyota feel by comparison? And when it comes to comparisons, they're definitely going to be comparing the price tags. So when they compare the price of the Rolls Royce to the Toyota, unless they got a very different feeling about the two, they're obviously just going to go with the cheaper one. Now this is a very similar struggle that a lot of businesses face. See, you might know that your service is a better quality than the competitor, and you might understand why you've got to charge a higher price to get that better quality outcome than what the competitor will. But in that moment where the customer gets a feel for the difference, if they're just comparing the price and they don't compare a different feeling, they're obviously just going to go with the cheaper one. So let me make it really clear what the aim is here. We want to make it so that when the customer is looking at you and comparing you to the competitors, they get a feeling that you're the Rolls Royce and they are the Toyota, Daihatsu, etc. Now this can serve multiple benefits. Not only does it prime the customer to have better expectations when they experience your service, but it also helps to filter out the customers that you don't want. I think it's safe to assume that if you're the salesperson in a Rolls Royce dealership and a Hyundai driver is coming in looking for a test drive, it's probably going to be a waste of time. Chances are they were never really going to buy the car anyway. So if you're still at that early stage in business where you can't afford to be choosing, you've got to see every customer as a potential customer, you really want to get a good SEO domination package in place. Now, I explain this in more detail in the SEO tricks and loopholes video, but what you really want to do is get to a point where you're now attracting so many leads to your business that you can now afford to be choosy and sit back and filter out the ones you don't want off to the competition, meanwhile attracting the ones you do want and priming them so that they understand the value of what you're doing and accept the higher price tag that it takes to deliver them the better quality service. What you really want to do is aim to get to the point where customers know that if they do choose a cheaper competitor, they do so with a conscious awareness that that is a lesser quality competitor. So it's really important to remember that if you're getting customers who are quite happy to go with a lesser quality for a lesser price, then by filtering them off to your competitors, that's not a loss, that's a gain. So in answering that question, what feeling do you want to prime customers with? Remember that lesson 6, whatever feeling you want to prime people with is going to be a comparative one. So you don't want to just give them a good feeling, you want to give them the feeling that you are the best and most valuable in your field. That way, you're not only going to filter out the cheapskates that'll waste your time, you're also going to attract the customers that you want and prime them to appreciate the value of the service that you provide.
After looking at your competitors' websites, what feelings do they convey? And remember to look for the micro-emotions most people don't notice consciously. What feelings do you think your ideal customers want to have when shopping for the type of service you provide? How can you create those feelings with more power than anyone else in your field? Would you like some ideas on what specific kind of feelings will have the desired effect you're looking for? If that sounds like something you want to learn more about, then in the next lesson, Stuart will take you deeper into the psychology of unconscious marketing tricks. He'll show you how to have an almost hypnotic effect on your customers so that they see your service as the most valuable in your industry. This way, your website sells your service for you, so by the time you've got them on the phone, they're already sold. Stay tuned for Lesson 7 if you'd like to find out how you can take advantage of these effects by looking deeper into the mind of your customers